Miss Peg. How's it going? Let's see here. And howdy, see how it goes.
Oh, all right. Got Ale back there hiding in the shadows.
Excellent. How you doing back there? Yep, I see you.
Hello.
And we hear the cat child.
Yeah.
And she's running around with a lightsaber right now.
There you go.
Perfect for Star Trek, right? Okay, good. That's good work. Alrighty. So let's fire this thing up and we'll see. It doesn't look like your friend got the invites but hasn't actually acted on any of it. So
He said he had company over. I said, pop in when you can.
yeah, that's fine. Alrighty. Let me see here. And get over to where you guys are.
Logan keeps changing his mind whether he's up for next week or not. So we'll get it figured out.
That's up to you. Yeah, that's right. If you're not comfortable with it, then we'll carry on with, who would it be? Mr. Peg, I think?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's all good. And howdy, Chris?
I'm good to run next week if necessary.
Yeah. It's just I know that I'm going to be missing the week after. He says he could probably do it then. I said, yeah, but what about me? So we'll see how it goes.
Good morning.
Howdy, Stephen. So how goes?
I loosened the lug nuts on the trike, front lug nuts on the trike, and looked at it and said, I'm not up for this for today.
So the truck is down and yeah.
Oh, it's difficult to do one-handed.
Let's see. Okay. We got a quorum here. We can actually kind of get started, let others join as they will.
Logan is using my audio, but he is in roll 20.
Yep, I see that.
He's on his machine. So rather than have cross channel, he's going to speak over my shoulder.
I got you. And Mr. Griffey, were you prepared to go, or did you need some time?
I'm launching in now.
Okay. And is Joan available?
She will be back in just a second. Here she comes, actually.
Okay, cool. Well, then I'll wait at least for her, and that'll leave Neff, and Neff can wander in as he chooses.
Hello, Joan.
Hello. I am curious and how this is going to go. This is, yeah, so we'll see.
Right on.
All right. Because this one's going to be pulling several threads together.
That's
All
actually
right.
what we're doing with Krista when we go on our little trip.
Yeah.
I will have to pop out one more time in about 15 minutes to move my water hose.
Okay. Just give us a holler, and we will accommodate. It's all good.
All righty.
Your water.
Okay, gang. So we'll go ahead and get rolling. Does everybody remember where we parked?
I'm still in sick bay.
So for those of you that got shot up, yeah, you're going to be in sick bay, but probably not as long as you think.
Yeah.
With none of you got reach 0.
Yeah.
So that means that the medical types only need a day or 2 or 3 to get you back at your feet and operational. In effect, you get all those stress points back, because that comes back pretty quickly. If you actually got to 0, then that's a whole different matter. But the first thing, yeah, we'll just skip past. Everybody clearly remembers where we were then. The first order of business is, have you folks had a chance to read the little blurb that I posted in Discord?
I did.
I have not.
So I'm going to go look.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll post it here as well
Okay.
for your convenience.
I appreciate that.
Occasionally, I'll put in something, a log entry or something like that, to fill in time between the stories or give you some background. And this is Easy's log, basically describing what happened in the immediate aftermath of last game. So we'll give you a chance to review that.
All right. Are we leaving a detail with the ambassador? Do we sacrifice a shuttle and leaving a detail with the ambassadors? One message.
You don't have to. the Agrippa is now there with you.
Okay.
So the Agrippa, her plan was to go right back to Benel, the Gander station, with the prisoner.
Gotcha. I paraphrased it. I must have missed that. Sorry.
And she can leave that detail, or you can leave it,
I
whatever.
saw Steven's post in Curse of Stratton. I was about to say, if you need, I actually have a Taroka deck if you need it.
We were
Be prepared.
trying to go
Curse
through
of
that.
God.
Yeah. Yeah, me and Logan were just trying to go through that. He says, this thing, it says you have to have all this stuff to set where everything is. This is you're the DM. You can put it where you want to.
Yeah, that's right. You are the decider.
Absolutely.
You go.
Don't
And
let
we'll-
don't fall craven to little gimmicks like that. Just go ahead and set it the way you want it. And we got Terra decks laying around here. Chris, it can teach you.
Yeah, so you're all good. And totally agree with Chris. Don't let the game mechanics boss you around. So let's see. Agrippa. The Agrippa came screaming in when that battle started, trying to get to you in time, but she was still several hours out. But she kept pedal to the metal and got there after the battle was done. And this aftermath has happened. So her plan, because the Commodore still does not want to leave Gander Station undefended for long, is to go back, take the prisoner, Bellatrix, from the Orson Welles. She can leave a attachment with the ambassador and agrees that's probably a wise idea.
Yeah. Too big of an asset to leave a field.
So if that is agreeable with you, then that is what's done.
That's fine. I was just making sure I knew where our assets were.
Yeah.
And that was my plan, was to interrogate her as much as I could, just to get understanding what she was doing out here and send her back, because she's definitely a person of interest for a lot of the mishaps happening at Starbase.
Yep, absolutely. And what you discovered is she's a smuggler. She doesn't have any particular loyalties. She has bounced back and forth across the border pretty regularly. So she'll smuggle Federation stuff to the Klingons and Klingon stuff to the Federation, and back and forth. The one thing that you'll probably be interested in learning that's not in ZZ's log there is the nature of that argument that you had with Ambassador Krav when you the very first game. And we're getting a lot of feedback from you there, E, for whatever reason.
You're getting feedback from me?
Yeah. Not feedback, but at least breathing sounds or something like that. So she was arguing with Krav because Krav threatened her. Krav said, if we find you in Klingon space again, we will destroy your ship and send you to Rura Penthe. You're not worth our time to kill, but you will not escape. Krav is not pleased with what she's been doing, because even then, apparently he had suspicions that she was supporting these renegade Klingons that he's been trying to find. So I'm sure somebody would have brought up that argument because you all witnessed it. So there you go. And also, she's not resistant to interrogation at all. She's no special agent. She's just, you have her in a brig and you have her ship impounded, and yeah, she just poots a bird. But that's the nature of the beast there. So you have this opportunity. Yes, she had a drop-off planned for the renegade Klingons, and you're actually coincidentally your next stop, which is at the mining colony that recently the Excalibur had been trying to suppress a holdout Klingon base, and then the Excalibur got moved up to another base with the assistance of the Sadat, and the von Steuben moved down to try to continue the operation, because it seemed like at that point the suppression was mostly done. The reason you were called in, if you recall, was Excalibur thought that there was still some activity going on. Maybe the Klingons were smuggling in supplies somehow They have cloak vessels. Perhaps they were getting supplies to the base. Perhaps they were evacuating the base, but he didn't know. So he wanted the Carson to go over there and try to nail that down. So that's the big picture scene. How did you want to go from here?
The first thing I was going to do was assess manpower before the Agrippa left.
So you took several casualties. At the end of it, you've got 6 in sick bay. They're going to be there for a while. You had 1 death. That was the Vulcan ensign in engineering. So yeah, that's given a crew of 150 people. That's not an insignificant number. But everybody else, there were multiple people that were impacted, shot at, hurt. But by the time a week's passed, they'll be functional. And that includes Dawa and Quinn and Bricklin. Thank you, Dr. Melry.
Yes. And definitely accommodations around. So my plan is to hand over the prisoner and hand over our casualty. Be like, since you're going back.
Yeah, take the ones that aren't going to be, we can't get them back up on their feet. They got to heal long term. Okay.
Yeah. While you're here, let's do a little exchange. And if we're still, even with the loss of manpower, my chiefs feel confident enough in our capabilities, I'll go ahead and just continue on mission.
Let's get a roll from you then. Let's see. We shall begin with the rolling. All right. For you, that'll be a presence command. And let's see if you have 2. All right. So there are no specific concerns from the chief except from Chief Luz, the engineering chief and also chief of the boat, who points out that the ensign will be missed because you only have a dozen officers on the ship. So that's it's not a crew problem, it's an officer problem that he sees. The remaining ones that they're sending back, it's 3 of your security folks, Dawa, 2 engineers, and one of a science technician from Gonzalez's department.
And we'll get them back when we get back to Starbase. In the meantime, as we're continuing on mission, make that point of the casualty, a ceremony, a memorial on the ship if necessary, and of course, making a requisition for a new officer for engineering whenever we get back to Starbase.
All right, good deal. Glad you brought that up because that saves me from bringing that up. Let's see if I can find him real quick. Not real quick. So it was Ensign Saroth, I believe. He was fairly new. Had only been an ensign for about a year. So everybody's new to the Carson almost. So he hasn't been on the Carson any longer than anybody else. The one thing that impresses most, I think, is that when you have that ceremony, the person that's most front and center is your other Vulcan officer, Seneth, your helmsman. And you can ask her why, but there seems to be more of an idle connection there, or had been more of an idle connection there. Of course, she, being Vulcan, doesn't say a thing about it. And as soon as the ceremony is done, she just turns around and leaves.
Let her grieve in her own way. I'm not the ship psychiatrist. If it's something that becomes an issue if it's brought up by the chiefs or it becomes an issue in her duties, I'll step in, but she's Vulcan. I don't know Vulcans, and they have their own way of things.
They do. So for Bricklin, this means that one of your shift deck officers is down. So you're either going to need to take one of the chiefs and have them fill that role on one of your shifts, or do it yourself and pull double duty.
And knowing him, we probably just do both until
Well-
everybody gels enough that we can comfortably promote somebody.
Yeah, the only chief you have 3 chiefs, and the one that you would trust with that is, of course, Luz. He's
Yeah.
senior chief. He's a vet. He can handle that just fine. But anybody that you assign to this, yourself or him, you're going to be tired.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be pulling these double shifts all the time.
Yeah.
So how do you want to handle that?
That's probably just going to, we may just have to switch off. I do a few, he does a few.
And that works. Actually, he thinks that's probably best. If you dump it all on one, particularly if you dump it on yourself, given everything else you have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if we get in a real crisis, you're going to be good for nothing when we need you. So
I'm already good for nothing. But yeah.
that's only because you can't walk. Dr. Melry's working on that.
If engineering wasn't already a one-legged butt kicking contest.
Yeah, no kidding. And howdy, Nev. Welcome to the party.
How's it going?
It's going just fine. We're just getting spun up here. Okay. So that takes care of that and how Brickland's going to handle his situation. I think with the losses that you have in security and in science, those are manageable just with some shift rotation amongst the crew. It was the officer loss that was going to be the big hit. All right. So what next? You've got the Orson Welles, where and when this drop off was supposed to happen. Do you want to take advantage of that, or do you want to not take advantage?
Oh, absolutely. Oh no, we're taking advantage.
So it's about a week. You're a little behind schedule because the Wells is not quick. But the original plan was about a week in Minenverger, where there's a specific location that's near, and you'll see the layout of the system, and let me just describe it. Minenverger is actually a moon of a gas giant that has something like 50 moons. It's a large terrestrial-sized moon with a breathable atmosphere. Miserable place to be, Class L. But you can actually beam down there and survive if you brought your own food and water and stuff like that. So the drop-off location was in a cluster of asteroids that was probably a moon at one point, but got pulled apart by the gravitational forces of other moons and the gas giant. So it hasn't formed a ring, but like a mini asteroid field. So it was right in the smack dab in the middle of that thing. The instructions were drop off the cargo pod and leave. They don't want the Wells to be around, and the pay was going to be routed through a different channel. You can investigate that later if you wish, because that's more of a banking thing. Actually, it was probably going to involve the Orion Syndicate. Not the Orions you just blew up, but the Syndicate is large. So the alternative, though, is that if she were to arrive and for whatever reason could not go to the drop-off point with her ship to drop off the container, was to send a shuttle there, drop it off, and just leave the shuttle. So there you go. That's what you got. You can make it look like you're escorting the Wells, which would not be unusual because it's still dangerous space, from Delta Borealis to Minenverger. But like I say, it's going to take a bit over a week to get there because you're going at transport speeds. Warp 4.
I'd go ahead and communicate ahead to the von Steuben and tell them, hey, this is what we found out. This is what we're planning, and see what they've found on their end, or at least what they're dealing with.
So the captain of the von Steuben, fellow name of Relith, an Andorian. Glad to see you coming. He's basically, he confirms that there's still activity on the surface. The base itself has been neutralized, but there are probably a couple of hundred Klingons scattered around doing guerrilla skirmishes, taking on the miners, taking on the mining facilities, basically making a mess of things. And as they crop up, Steuben can deal with it swiftly because she's just sitting there in low orbit, waiting to rain down electric death on whoever she pleases. So for the most part, the Klingons have been keeping their heads down because they don't like to be rained electric death on from a destroyer that they can't do anything about. But they're there, and he could definitely use the help trying to track them down on the surface, as well as whatever is going on up above that's allowing them to be, well, still here.
My theory is park the Orson Welles and see if we can't make it seem like we can't, transport's not safe or whatever, they had to come to us, and see if they take the bait and send whatever craft they got. And we'll do a typical procedure. We'll sensor dump the sector, just see what we find.
Okay. So takes a week, and that's how that plays out. Gonzalez, need a sensor roll from you. See if you see stuff while you're on the way. And let's see, get your sheet up here. So that'll be control and science. And the ship can assist. See if you even need the ship to assist. Maybe. And for the ship, remember the ship's only rolling one die on the Starship task roll when it doesn't assist like this. You'll be doing computers, or rather sensors, sorry. You actually have sensors. And science. See what you get.
I'm sorry, is this something I can assist with?
You have to use the ship's
You can.
character sheet.
One die for you.
On both
Same
character
roll that he did. He did a control science roll. And yeah, you've got your sensors thing, so you can add an extra, so 2. Teamwork. Okay. So we have 2 so far.
We roll one of those.
Okay.
I think I can do that.
Okay. The ship. We'll take the first one on the ship. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Which is actually, yes. Good enough. So as you're approaching Minenverger, and it's probably good that you're slow boating it because it's giving you plenty of time to scan around, to just look, to see what's going on around you. You do detect there are traces of activity without ships associated with them. That means that your sensors are indicating that there are ships entering and leaving the system, but you're not actually seeing the ships that those traces correspond to. And with that good a roll, that see 4 ships, which is for you, Belmont. 4 ships, you say? Okay, that's unwelcome. Because if it were a friendly ship, you'd see it. Federation didn't make cloaking devices.
Yep. So I think we figured out how the Klingons are getting supplied on their own here.
So how did you, with that knowledge, what's that now?
Said the Federation doesn't have cloaking devices that you've seen.
They've cloaked them. With that knowledge, how did you want to proceed? Continue your approach as though nothing's unusual?
I'm going to pass that along to von Steuben. The von Steuben. Be like, hey, we've begun our sensor sweep, and we're noticing there's 4 additional signatures that they're there, but they're not. They're visible on scanners, but they're not visible on screen.
So the Andorian's antennae raise a little bit at the number 4. Okay. He's not surprised because he figured that something cloaking was coming in here, but 4? Okay. Do we have any idea of what class? What are we dealing with?
And I'd
No.
probably tell them, I would tell them the sensors aren't that good. we have their signatures. Once we got actual contact with them, that's when we would find out. And of course, then that would be too late.
Yeah, it would. Okay, he appreciates the info. He's gonna watch his six a little bit more carefully now. So that's 2 days before you reach Minenberger. A half day before you arrive in system. Your sensor sweep hasn't given any new information. You're still seeing up to 4 ships coming and going. You're pretty sure that by the time you arrive, 2 of those 4 are not in the system. So that leaves 2 that may or may not be in the system. All right, clock. If you're still awake over there.
I'm here.
Let's see here. How about a control engineering role from you? This is your main job, communication.
Ooh,
So if
yeah,
there's
lovely.
anything, what you get?
Whatever my main job was, I didn't do it.
Oh boy, yeah,
I think she's still getting over her high from shooting things last week.
that's right. You keep going over the Dawa station. It's like, hey, can I press the button? No. Yeah, I want to press the button. No. Okay. So you receive a message from the direction of Minenberger, but you're not sure what or who. Something along the lines of, we'll use the old stock message here.
Yeah, we're trying to reach you about your starship warranty.
Yeah, there's definitely something coming in on subspace, but it's garbled and then it cuts off.
Okay, I'll let the captain know. Captain, we've got a transmission coming in, but it's completely garbled and I can't make anything out.
Keep working on it. See if you can't put it through any ciphers or whatever. Maybe it's coded.
Do you want to spend some threat and try again?
Sure, if you will tell me how to do that, because I not remember.
Basically,
doing
we'll
that.
give you another crack at it if you spend 4 threat. And remember, what that means is that you're giving the bad guys an advantage down the road.
Oh, what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
That's a little better.
That's quite a bit better, actually. That message resolves into a continuous distress beacon from the orbital facility above the mining colony.
Send more coffee. Send more coffee.
Yeah.
And one of you guys are going to need to share the screen here in a minute. If you
Okay, I'll pass that along. We've got a
I'll get
distress
that.
beacon coming in from the mining colony. It's on repeat. I'm going to see if I can't rouse them up a little bit, but I'm guessing probably not since it's on repeat.
Yeah, you can't really make out details except that it is the source and the fact that it's a distress and it just keeps going. Bring more coffee, bring more coffee. Yeah.
I'd tell Clock is, hey, send a quick communique open to the von Steuben and see if they're getting this same distress beacon.
Okay, roll that again there, Clock. Control and engineering. And that's what you get.
Ugh. It's one of them days.
No response from the von Steuben.
Okay.
I don't think the von Steuben's in system, sir.
They went to get the coffee. That's what it is. It's Starbucks. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's not good. So I'd be like, engineering, I think we have a comms issue. And,
We definitely have a comms issue.
now, at the same point, I'd be like, that probably explains why there was still 2 unknown signatures left. And then I'd probably go back to our notes about what the Orson Welles, what Bellatrix was going to do out here, or how she was going to contact these people.
She wasn't. The plan was for her to drop this thing off at a prearranged location and leave. And if she couldn't do it, then she was to use one of her shuttlecraft to ferret the cargo container to the same location and just leave the shuttlecraft, and she would be recompensed for it.
So where was her drop point?
I should show you.
That mining facility.
It was that asteroid field that I described earlier.
Okay.
That was midway between the gas giant and the mining facility. And you're not quite there yet. You're still at, if you stay with the Orson Welles, you're a half day out. If you punch it, you get there much quicker.
There's your reason engineering. See if I can fix it.
There is nothing wrong with the comm system.
Job's finished.
I'm telling you guys, the von Steuben isn't in the system right now.
I do a scanner sweep.
Sensors.
But yeah, Gonzalez, Quinn, do that thing.
Right.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What does Gonzalez need to roll?
Just that, control and science, and assisted by the ship, sensors and science. Good Lord, guys. Okay.
It's right there. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. You're going to love the answer, though.
No, that's the Van Steuben. What are you talking about?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. According to the sensors, the von Steuben is not in the system.
Ah,
So, Clock, you were right all along.
Told you. That's the Van Steuben. It's a very different ship.
stupid. What?
Didn't say I didn't believe you.
Frankenstein.
Yeah, it didn't say I didn't believe your clock.
Frankenstein.
It's just checking all the boxes. Well, crap. I think they took out the von Steuben. With that, sensors are
Right.
We-
Yeah, it's really good. So, yeah, you milk it.
Yeah, are we aware of? Are there any remaining unknown ships still in the area, or their possible location?
The debris clouds matching the size and shape of it.
Yes, that's
Let's
minimal.
see. Let me see here. Yeah, let me just click on something and see if the random number generator says. Okay. The sensors indicate you don't see the von Steuben, Starben, whatever you want to call it. The Studebaker.
Frankenstein.
Hassenpfeffer. From the lack of its beacons, transponders, the normal navigation stuff that you would expect. Also, you just don't see a warp signature that matches that at all. You don't see other warp signatures in system, which you would have expected because there were at least 2 other transports there. It's a mining colony. They load ore and haul it off, right? So all the time. So there are at least 3 ships missing. Do the sensors detect debris fields? Possibly. In the vicinity of the orbital facility above the mining colony.
Looks like they're paving the way for the Orson Welles to come in here unhindered. I'll send a communique back to Starbase saying most possibly von Steuben destroyed, approaching the sector now.
You get a response about a minute later, actually from Harris on the Excalibur, asking if you want the Excalibur and the Sadat to move up.
So I will say yes, and I'll brief him on what we were finding on our end of the signatures. So possibly 2 bird of prey ships still in this sector.
All right. That's certainly something we can handle. We've got a large number of our security teams on Tensakar right now doing battle, but I think the battle is at a point where we can safely. Actually, I think I need to leave the Sadat for orbital support. We'll bring the Excalibur up. That should be enough for a couple of bird of preys.
Sounds good.
So he's going to book it, but it's still going to take him 2 days at maximum warp to make that trip. You, on the other hand, you're a half day away. If you kick it up to maximum warp, you're like a couple hours away. An hour away, actually. But that means the Orson Welles is still poking along out there alone.
No, I'm not leaving the Orson Welles. Also, that kind of helps close the gap for the Excalibur to help out if necessary. We'll stay our course. What I'd probably do is prep to launch some probes
Okay.
whenever we get in the range to hopefully paint a better picture of what we're looking at.
Question for Ops, Quinn, how did you want those probes prepped? What sort of probes do you want to have in the loader, in the launchers, and then lined up after that?
Oh,
Sensors, electronic warfare, mines. That you remember your options.
Typical loadout of monkey see, then monkey do.
Meaning sensors first, and then
sensors and
And there's something charged second.
okay. Because it takes about a bit of time to swap out the mission profile and those once you've set it. But if you've already preset it, you can just throw out your sensors. Okay, so here we go. Let me find the right one for you. All right. So we'll give you a moment to look around here so you can see everything that's going on. The scale here, by the way, is big. Each square is 100,000 kilometers. So yeah. Basically, a ship would have to be in the same square in order to be able to shoot at you. That little bouncing thing is the drop-off point. And the colony itself is at the bottom of the map. When you arrive in system, since you were looking for it, I'm going to go ahead and give it to you. Yeah, there we go. That's the one I want. As it thinks about it. Think about it some more. It's not that big. There is, in fact, a debris field in the vicinity, 2 separate debris fields in the vicinity of the orbital station. But the station itself is intact, undamaged.
You wouldn't want to blow it up if it has precious minerals and resources. Definitely want to send a probe when we do to here, kind of like blanket this area
Okay,
for our
so
approach.
several probes. I see. So let me get that set up for you. All right. And Quinn, would you roll to do your probing thing? Let's see here. You can be assisted by somebody else in the ship. And let me find out what it's going to look like. Control science, since these are sensor probes, yeah.
Gonzalez is in the head. Give him a minute.
All right. Come on
I
now.
don't know why. I feel like I'm a sub commander in this game.
It very much is. It's based on
The whole cloaking thing, that's it, man. Yeah. You're not the sub commander, you're the destroyer commander. You're on the surface, everybody can see you, but you got to figure out where the threat is. Is that good for your placement of your sensor probes initially?
Yes.
Or did you? Okay.
And then eventually move one down toward the colony. I just want to make sure our initial approach was at least clear.
Got it. All right. Let's see what Quinn rolls here, and yeah, it'll be the logo when it gets back.
I'm gonna bring him up right quick. He's indisposed.
And while that's happening, Clock, why don't you roll control engineering again and see if you pick up any transmissions?
Your same sensor roll.
Yep. See if you can pick up Starbucks. Yeah. Okay.
Something this time.
You've tuned into the Starbucks channel.
And one for the ship.
Great. I'm in the Starbucks channel. It's playing a continuous loop of Jack Johnson songs.
Oh my gosh.
Sir, I have the Indigo Girls on channel 1.
Quinn's indisposed.
Okay, but you did get one from Logan helping you out there. All right. So here's what you get from the sensors. The way looks clear. You don't see anything unusual around that inner moon, the Class D, basically big rock. You don't see any unusual traces in the vicinity of the asteroid field that's between the moon's orbits. So yeah, that looks clear. And the path in the direction of the colony also looks clear. For comms, yeah, you're definitely picking up the distress beacon from the orbital, but now you're also picking up two much weaker distress beacons from the transports that are in the vicinity of the orbital that have been destroyed. Basically, they're emergency buoys.
Nice. Okay. We got two other distress signals coming from the transports. It's not looking good.
Okay. So
I wish someone would turn this bloody Sheryl Crow off.
Well, now it's Oasis.
yeah, it's Wonderwall. Okay, so we'll keep the sensor here as necessary. This one we can move around. And this one we can definitely move further down as well as we approach, because we'll approach these distress beacons.
Okay, got it.
And we'll
So-
keep in the Orson, be like, just stay near.
Yeah. All right. So let me work on that.
Hang out here, you're going to be bait.
So let's get you about halfway on sublight and keep the same distance, you and the probe. All right. And these two, you're just going to kind of let them hang and see what.
Yeah, just definitely the one by the drop point, but the other one just to make sure if something was in hiding behind the gas giant when it came around, we'd know.
Got it. So actually move it a little bit so you can, the moon's not a shadow to you. All right. So let's make another series of rolls similar to what you did. Quinn and Logan and Clock. Basically, we're seeing what's going on with the sensors, what you're picking up, what you're hearing. God, oh, poor Quinn. Clock is on a roll. Logan's on a roll. Quinn is get the bad rolls out of the way early because this is good. I assure you. Okay. So what you get from that, we'll start with Clock actually. So Clock, as you're getting closer and you're getting a chance to listen in broadband to everything that's going on out here, the only permanent settlement in this place is the facilities on Vega, rather, and the orbital facility. There are other satellites that monitor the gas giant. Those are functional, and you're getting telemetry from them. They're more of a science observatories because we're the Federation. If there's a gas giant and it's doing interesting things, and that gas giant is, by the way, there's life on the gas giant. It's microbial, but nonetheless, that's unusual. Yeah, we're studying it. Those things are working fine, but their transmissions, they're being sent to the orbital, but you don't know what's happening after that. What you're noticing, though, is a complete lack of any sort of outgoing transmissions from either the colony or the orbital station, except for that one distress beacon. And as you approach, with the probe confirms what Clock heard, is that indeed there are two spreading debris fields that were once Federation transports. What you do not see, though, is a spreading debris field of what that was once a Federation destroyer.
One would merely assume that they went off in pursuit.
Yeah, agreed. This was bait. So there's absolutely nothing left of these transports. They're just gone.
They're gone. They were pummeled.
Okay. So the only place I can think of is either A, it's near the gas giant, or this little class 1 sucker over here.
All right. So what's your next move?
That's a shoot probe right there.
You want to leave your other three in place and just have a brand new one come out?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've had plenty of time to reload the probe launchers, and you can have 3 launches at a time. Okay. You want to continue your approach to the colony?
Yeah, just to make sure.
All right. And we'll get you down to about that point. All right. Sensor rolls. And this time, clock, you're just not hearing anything, and you continue to not hear anything. Your rolls have been really good. Let's get a set of rolls from Neff. And this will be Insight Science.
I guess if I have to participate,
Yes, sorry.
puts my trials on hold.
Yep.
Insight science.
Insight Science. A little bit different.
Ah,
Because you're not actually operating the sensors, but you can see the feed. Okay, got it.
I'm too focused on my current experiment. Sorry.
Yeah, you got the feed over here, and you're trying not to blow up the ship over here, so you're a little...
Spencer feeds on the left. The cat videos
Yeah.
are running. I'm really just tuned out.
Yep. So, no help from the biologist. Okay, let's see. I wish we had timestamps for these rolls. Let's see, we rolled... Well, I'll just go ahead and assume that was Logan's rolling again there. All right, 1, 2, 3. So that's not terrible. Did you do your Starship Assist, Quinn? Let's see if the Carson can give you a hand there. So for Quinn, oh, hold on. I heard the roll. Okay. We'll take the 1. The Starship Assist, it only has issue with 1, so that I'm just taking the first die. But let's see, so you get 2. All right, so here's what you get. From these 2 probes that are near the gas giant, near the asteroid field, nothing new. From the probe and the Carson, because you're getting very close now. Important discovery about the orbital facility. No life signs. And from the probe number 4 over here, that is an angry little moon. But you don't see any sign of debris or the von Steuben over there.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a place Klingons would like to make home.
It would definitely be a challenge. But you're right. That seems to be the sort of thing they like. So what's your next move? If you continue at your current speed, you'll be in orbit essentially next round.
We're going to move this probe.
Okay.
We're going to put it behind us.
Okay.
Make sure nothing sneaks up on us.
And then you end up in orbit along with Orson Welles. Okay. And one last time, we'll give Quinn, actually Gonzalez this time, because it'll be the main ship sensors. So you're rolling sensor science for the Starship, control in science for yourself, and then you can be assisted by Quinn there. 1, 2, 3. Okay. That's good enough. So now that the Carson has had a chance to approach, and you're really starting to clear through all this mess of signals, you've checked it, you've checked it, you've checked it again. No life signs on the surface of that moon. The colony had 20,000 people. But as far as you can tell, there's no, aside from the damage of the skirmishes that you've seen, no structural damage, no damage to the mining facilities. They are still operational. In fact, operating.
Hey, Neff, can you initiate a scan of weird bioforms? Is there like a virus going on down there or something?
Let me push this pre-scripted button I set up for you guys.
As he watches the latest Cap video.
There you go.
Calvin, what that roll gives you is, no, you don't think it's a virus. You're pretty sure you know what it is. You're seeing signs, trace signs of the leftovers of the neurogenic weapon that you've been tracking. Apparently, it was
How are
used
my
here.
containment fields coming along?
Your what?
The things I've been working on. I was making containment fields for them to make them more easily to contain,
You're,
qualify, and
they're-
eventually reverse.
You're still working on it, but the problem is apparently the damage has been done because it killed the entire colony and everybody on the orbital station.
We need samples. That'll help my research. But yeah,
But-
definitely report what
I
happened.
don't think there's anything left to send.
So that leads us to when you finally come to the realization that you're looking at the tomb of 20,000 plus people.
They're dead, Jim.
They're dead, Jim.
But it still doesn't explain the disappearance of the von Steuben. Because at this point, I think all of Starfleet would have told the ships to look for using the algorithm.
So what's your next move?
Oh, no, go ahead.
I'm just going to say that Calvin's role indicates the remnants of the neurogenic weapon. It's not active currently. So it should be reasonably safe to go over to the orbital station or down to the mining facilities if you chose to do that. But you don't know.
For right now, I was going to park it here and do away team to the orbital station because that's who sent out the distress signal. So either A, the colony was hit first and they saw this, sent the distress signal, then it hit them. They sent out their transports to escape, and whatever was sitting here blew them away. I want to see if there's any logs still available, anything, since everything's still running, give me a timeline. And of course, while this is happening, update the Excalibur as well as update Starbase.
Yeah, and that's done. So who's on the away team?
I think the botanist should go. He wants a sample. This would be a good place to find one if there
He's
is
already
any.
at the transporter pad with a small vial. It says everyone on the away team should take one of these.
Iodine.
Okay, so that's Calvin. All right. And who else is going?
I guess I'm going.
Dawa. Set yourself. You're back up to max in terms of your stress. All
Yeah.
right. Anybody else?
What do you think, Skip? Should I go help find the logs? Or you want me on board to watch what we're doing here?
I would say I think the Chief's got it if you want to go.
Okay,
But I'll go. I don't want them cooties.
He had pretty good luck at finding stuff before on a decaying bird of prey.
Yeah. Okay. Aye.
And anybody else?
Science, you have an interest in going, or you going to sit here and keep running sensors? Huh? He's running sensors, he says.
Okay.
He's more concerned about what's sneaking up on us on the probe screens.
It's not a bad thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what Quinn was planning on doing as well, was saying keep on watching the sensors.
All right. Then give me a moment. Let me get that set up. And I assume you fill out the rest of the team with Richards.
Yep.
Oh, which reminds me, I do want to point out that for the record, the first casualty aboard the Carson was in fact a red shirt, as is tradition. So,
Ryan Siege.
yeah, we actually lost one of the engineers, an ensign. He was killed. Let me find a couple of others to go. That'll be from there. You go. Yeah. Okay. There we go. I think that's the whole team. All right. Let's see if I can find what I'm looking for over here. Yeah, perfect. That's what I was looking for. There's going to be a minor cacophony. I'll thin it out quickly because there's no sense in letting it go. So the team beams over, thanks to Chief Tim, to the orbital station.
Working.
That noise is, let me turn that down a bit. So yes, you have a red alert klaxon going on. The computer noise is coming from that console right there. And that there's a body right behind it that's collapsed.
I'll see what I can do with the board.
All right. First, you can turn off the alerts.
That's what I was going to do.
Yeah. But you still have this thing going on, which is the sensor sound. If you know from you remember Spock's view
Yeah.
screen, yeah, that's going pretty. Yeah, there's something going on there. Apparently, they had a scan, as one might expect. And yeah, because you have no problem getting a sample from that one. But do you also, no sense in leaving that on. Do you also actually want to do anything other than sample? Perhaps do a little scan and see what cause of death might have been.
Yeah, area scans, sampling, and started his timer after the other members of the away team took the doses he handed out.
All right. So out comes the tricorder, and the rest of the security team. They check with you, Dawa. Anders, do you want us to spread out and take a look?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what they do. They pick different directions and start investigating the place. And
Can they send the sensor scans to the Carson?
Absolutely.
Requested they do so.
All right, Bricklin, here's your moment. Let's see you roll a good computer roll. Let's pull up your thing here. Yep. Your favorite thing, control engineering, dealing with computer retrieval. If
All
that's a talent or something of yours, you can bump it up. Control engineering rather than inside engineering.
Yeah.
I'll let you re-roll that.
All right. So I got it. Yeah.
Yeah,
How's it
same
been?
result. Okay. You do pull up the relevant logs. It's not going to give you a lot of detail. You're going to have to go back to the Carson to pull out more information. But you do get a couple of important things. Let's see. You go back about half a day, about 12 hours ago is when all this seemed to have started. At that point, the two transports were alongside the station or was being loaded. Everything seemed to be routine. The von Steuben, according to the logs, was in system, patrolling around the gas giant, a little bit closer to the gas giant. Basically, von Steuben's been doing orbits around these moons, trying to find signs of where's the supply coming from. So she was not in orbit above the colony at that time. All right. So give me a moment to find the appropriate thing here. So you've got that guy whose body is on the floor right now, manning this essentially like a station ops console. And he's actually looks a little distracted because it's not an exciting job. Nothing happens here, right? Well, let's see. Oh, where is that silly thing? I thought I had that. No. Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll deal with that later. Oh, there it is. So you see on his main view screen behind him what he's actually noticing from the sensors. This appears point blank off the station.
We.
And he's so shocked, he just stares at it, just in disbelief. And that gives it plenty of time. Totally unopposed, this D4 takes out one transport, then the other in short order, and then fires one torpedo at the station. When the torpedo hits, the shields hadn't been raised yet, the station shields. The ops guy was just frozen.
Stunned.
He immediately collapses. After he collapses, the D4 cloaks, and that's it. He had time to red alert triggered the automatic distress beacon, but that's all he had time to do. Yeah, one of those four ships is a D4 cruiser.
Yeah, we ain't no match for that.
Oh, neither's the Excalibur.
Actually, hold on. Dawa?
Especially if she's firing bioweapon.
Yes.
They've upgraded.
Yeah, they've upgraded. So let's get a let's see. Insight security roll from you. And no, yeah, just a 2. Okay. So here's what you can advise on the D4. The D4 is actually an older Klingon cruiser, probably 20 years out of date. She's not their latest greatest.
Yeah, D7.
The D7 is the latest greatest. But she's still potent. She is outmatched by the Excalibur. But she is a fight for you. Technically, if believe it or not, the Carson's actually longer than that D4. But you don't have nearly as much capability in terms of weapon systems. Targeting, the cloaking device, power, shields, all that stuff. That's all she is muscle. So, yeah, take care.
Just to verify, what's the, I think we all know, but what does the cause of death look like on this guy here?
Disruption of neural pathways, neurogenic weapon.
Okay.
And it's the same for anybody else that you examine. Your security team is reporting in what you're seeing here, bodies throughout the station. They just fell where they stood. There were people that were eating meals. There were playing cards. They didn't even get up. It's as though they didn't have time. They just fell. No, they found somebody in a shower with the shower still on. It's just instantaneous death.
Yeah, Calvin would be interested in any other biological life signs or former life signs on the ship other than just the personnel also.
There were some pets. They also fell victim to the same effect. So there are really no life signs left of any sort, except for microbes and things that didn't need a brain to function. Plants are fine. Yeah. So your team reassembles. The security guys confirmed that, to the best of their knowledge, the engineering plant's still stable. There's nothing wrong with the ship, with the station systems, except for the insularity damage caused by the destruction of the 2 transports close to the station. That caused some hull damage, but nothing serious. The station is in perfect working order.
No signs of compartments on the station that are separated from the rest of the air supply, stuff like that.
There are many, but I think the answer to your question is when you find a gentleman in a spacesuit dead, the neurogenic weapon is a radiation-based weapon, and anywhere that it could reach, it didn't spread through the air. It didn't spread like a virus. It spread like radiation would. It just pierced through walls, and radiation shielding is significant on a station like this, but not against this particular form of radiation. And yeah, given the sensor logs you just saw and the effects in the people, they've weaponized it. It's not just for sitting as a trap in starships anymore. The sensor logs continued because the guy was never around to turn them off. And it does, in fact, confirm that the same D4 bombarded the colony from orbit with those torpedoes.
Update Starbase.
Yeah, Bricklin, pull the logs.
Yeah, we're going to want to examine that video shot, see if it's the same house we've been dealing with.
And let's get together and get out of here.
Right on.
Okay, so everybody's back together, and you beam back to the Carson. So, Quinn and Gonzalez. So you're going to have a crack at analyzing that, as well as Dr. Mallory. So let's see here.
Quinn's having her consistent walk.
I see that. So let's swap it up a little bit. For everybody that's analyzing the logs, not for the medical stuff, a reason science roll. You're assisted by the Carson, and each one of you individually gets assisted by the Carson. Let's see here.
What was it?
reason science.
Okay.
And the Carson will be computers science. And then for Dr. Melry, it's reason medicine and computers medicine for the ship assist. So let's see what everybody gets. Wow. You're not playing D&D there, Quinn. Roll low. Okay.
I don't remember how many I roll.
2 for your personal skill and 1 for the ship.
Yeah, reason science.
Okay, so there's me.
Okay.
And she probably has a focus that would apply.
Yeah, but yeah, I think she's going to get it.
And then what was the ship one?
Computers medicine.
I have to locate the ship first.
Yeah, it should be very top of the list.
Yeah, it's a matter of having the right screen up.
Yeah. I'll
Alright,
switch
you
you
said
back over.
computers, what?
Computers medicine.
Medicine. Got it.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Got it all. All right. So let me piece all that together. Okay. Let me find this one again. Yep. Okay. So for all that, here's what you get. Actually, let me move you back here. Okay. So the first question, is it the same house that you've been dealing with? No, it's not. And in fact, you're able to identify this house because it's one of the great houses. We're still learning about Klingon politics in the Federation at this point. But we know, and having fought them for a couple of years, we're aware that they have a ruling council and a chancellor. And the ruling council is typically controlled by the leaders of a small number of great houses. This is one of those. House Kunja, we know, is a great house that has a seat on the council itself. That doesn't necessarily jive with the profile of what we've been expecting. We've been looking at this minor house that has a bone to pick, right? Because they were discommunicated. And the little that we know about this whole discommunication business is that this House Kunja ship should have nothing to do with this minor house. They might be violating some norm just by having any association. But you don't necessarily know yet that there is an association. You just know that it's a coincidence that they have this weaponized version of the weapons that you knew the minor house had somehow purloined. There's a possible link there, but you don't have evidence that there's a direct link there yet.
Right on. That's what I was leading to.
So, House Kunja. That's number 1. Number 2 is, as of the recordings made on the board the station, that D4 was undamaged, totally fresh. So if it had been in a scrap with the destroyer, it would have shown it, unless they got a lucky shot off with one of those torpedoes. You know that at least at this point in time, it's probable that the von Steuben was still out there. It hadn't been engaged, at least by the D4. There's a possibility of there being another ship in the system. Don't know what that is.
They often have pickets.
Yeah. So let's see. On the medical side of things, this is the same baseline radiation that you found in the devices that you neutralized on many starships that have been planted there as bombs, traps, essentially. But it is not the same. Melry, when you start investigating it along with Calvin, you can't help but think this thing has been worked on, weaponized. So it is a more advanced, more lethal form of the same thing, as if it needed to be made more lethal. What that means in practical terms is one of these things set off in a ship might take out the ship. One of these torpedoes was 5 of these torpedoes were able to take out the entire colony. So much more lethal. It just goes back to what Belmont's saying about there are a lot more things in danger now, given that this is a thing. let's see here. Look at this other roll. Yep. Okay. Yeah, and I think that's probably all you're going to get. You know that it's a different house. The ship was undamaged, and that the radiation is the same, but a more lethal form of it. So what's next?
I'm gonna update Starbase of these findings. That the new house that's been discovered doing this, we are able to. I definitely want to send a copy of this file to the Starbase, to the Commodore, because this is probably the most recorded
damning.
evidence we have. Yeah, it's damning evidence, but
It's
also
damning. Yeah.
names a house. Definitely puts a lot of pressure on the Klingon Empire, which might get some help from the ambassador on naming names and locations.
Yep.
But just also for them, you need to build up defenses because this thing just decloaked and nuked this instantly.
Yeah,
Classic.
the whole thing was done in less than a minute.
Yeah, classic Klingon sneak attack, but it's worse because now it's not just bombs or devices being left on ships. They have definitely weaponized it more.
So you have that conversation with the Commodore, and she's visibly disturbed. She wears her emotions on her sleeve normally, but for the longest time, the only emotion that you detected was anger and irritation. But now, yeah, the anger is even ramped up more because of what's happened to the colony, but also a tinge of fear, because this doesn't threaten just this colony, but every damn thing in the sector and beyond. So it's a big deal, and she understands it, and she's going to act on it. Harris, too, is okay. Yeah. We need to find this D4 and take care of it as quickly as we can. But he's still a day and a half out at this point.
Calvin is updating his containment and counter experiments with the more lethal version that he's working on the timeline and the spread for.
And to your disappointment, your containment that you've been working on does not work against the more lethal version.
Yes, we need to
Oops. let's not.
modify it then, yes.
Yeah. Don't worry about any crazy readings you're getting from the science lab. We're taking care of that real quick. Yeah. This stuff's really dangerous. The other stuff was dangerous, but you could contain it. You were figuring it out. This stuff is bad. All right. So wait for everybody to kind of situate here. Now that you've had a moment to absorb the situation and you see what's going on, what do you want to do? You have contacted who you needed to contact, but now you're faced with empty space, and somewhere in it, you're pretty sure is a D4 and maybe a buddy.
So I tell Z to take the con, and I get all the chiefs and senior officers together. It's like we're gonna have a boat meeting.
Okay, so time for that.
Calvin's also wondering if it's a more powerful version that's weaponized. It might be easier to detect with long-range scans. It might help find a cloaked ship that has it on board. So he's going to work on that aspect too.
All righty. We'll let you roll on that here in a bit. Let me see here. Get everybody back around the table. You're there. All right, so big powwow. And all right, Captain, you got your department heads here. What do you
So
tell them?
I don't really pull any punches. It's situation not good. We still have no idea where the von Steuben is. No idea. Can't find a trace of it. We have this evidence. We could just take the Orson Welles back, call off the Excalibur, meet in a different area, bring more guns, sweep this area, or we can stay here. It's risky, but we hunt the system and we try and see who comes in for the Orson Welles for the trade-off. What do y'all think?
I say we hang and wait on help. We definitely got a lot of mess to clean up here.
How much longer before we were scheduled to be, before the Orson Welles was scheduled to drop off their container?
You're actually late at this point. You're about a half day late.
Yeah, so that would have to happen as soon as possible.
What's in the containers?
Medical supplies, actually. Specifically, and very importantly, Klingon plasma and blood types.
What's the loadout on the station, weapon-wise?
It is a civilian station, so it has defensive phasers, point defenses, and shields that are worth a damn, but they wouldn't stand up to a cruiser.
Right on. But it might be worth leaving a contingent here to utilize such. We might be able to get them caught in a crossfire, at least for a little while.
And let me give Calvin a freebie. Based on his and Dr. Melry, they've been looking at this new radiation. They think that shields would be an effective defense against it. If the ship's shields are up, the radiation can't get through it.
So it is defendable by particle shielding.
Yep. But if the shields are down, like they were at the station because the guy froze up, that's it.
There's at least some good news.
We know that it didn't just... I'm still wondering where our friend is, because we should have some trace of her by now. She had to have put up a fight because...
Yeah, and that's a valid point. That would be echoed by others, is if the D4 engaged the von Steuben, as we think she did, we would be seeing debris, plasma traces. Her cloaking device would not be nearly as effective because of the results of the fight. There's something off here.
And they didn't just sneak up on the Steuben and zap her once pretty good and with their super weapon, because then we'd be able to find the ship.
And according to the logs of the station, the Steuben would have received the distress signal from the station, because the D4 can't be in both places at once, right? So they would have had some warning. They would have had their shields up.
So the question is there a bigger Klingon ship, not just a picket? Because we warned them not that far out of what we were picking up on sensors. They would have been prepared for something sneaking up on them. And I look at engineering as like, how do you make a ship just disappear without a trace?
The only thing I know anything about as a possibility there is interface. But that's a large scale, basically transporter and now anomaly, and that would be traceable.
Let's see. You do something like what he was describing. You cloak it, which is unlikely.
Everybody make a reason security roll. And 2 dice. No bonuses. Okay. Yep. Well, everybody rolled pretty good.
Everybody's kind of on their toes right now.
So we'll give it to Clock, because Clock, you rolled last, but I think several people were going to tumble to it. What about the gas giant? You asked if the ship could be hidden almost without a trace. What about the gas giant?
This is true. We could send all 4 of those trobes in there and wouldn't come up with anything.
Yeah. So, do you think somehow they ambushed or pulled the von Steuben away, ambushed it, and somehow disabled it enough to where it was pulled into orbit of the gas giant and crushed?
Probably where they're sitting. That way they're not burning their resources staying cloaked.
We have one probe already there just scanning to see if something moves. It's a gas giant. It's a very violent gas giant. You can't go too far or you'll get sucked in by its gravitational well and crushed.
How would you even tell if something like that had happened?
You wouldn't. There's no way we could.
It has scan for metals. Will be about it.
Yeah.
Some trace of the battle.
Well, we have one probe already on one side of it. We can send the probe that's sitting nearby to the other side. And maybe we can do what we did with the Orions. Do a bell ringer.
There's nothing to ring.
But you can at least send the probe over there to make sure that there's nothing there to see.
True.
That's true.
All right. So is that the tentative plan?
It's the only one we got. So we'll send. There's a probe I sent behind us. The probe already there, the probe in the middle. This probe by the class 1. That's the closest. Right down here. I want to send that to the other side of the gas giant.
Okay.
I was talking about the one way down here by this little rock. I have a probe way down here.
Oh, you mean this guy? Oh,
Yeah.
I understand.
That guy. I want to send him to the other side. Keep that one there. That way, at least we one on each half. I would say go ahead, keep those active. Send the Orson Welles in, because we got a probe actively searching. If it's where we think it is, which is at the gas giant, when it activates, these should ping. We should have a good clue what we're facing.
So do you want to send the Orson Welles to the gas giant or to the rendezvous point?
I say go ahead and send it to the rendezvous point,
Okay.
and we'll move somewhere.
So you want the Carson to move over here?
I would actually say, doing Brickland's idea, have a team on the station, shields up, activating the weapons arrays. I'd bring this probe down, kind of like in a straight line-esque, and let's see if we can't pop it into a fight. If we see something, tag it, fall back, and see if we can't catch it in a crossfire, like Brickland said, and hopefully we can stave it off or piss it off enough and keep away from it that eventually the Excalibur shows up and we pin it.
Okay.
With the use of probes and, of course, sensors.
All righty. So here we go. Let me look at something here.
While y'all are doing this, Calvin wants to go off screen to work on his latest improvements, which won't be ready before today's cliffhanger, but maybe at the beginning of next week's episode. Come in handy.
I think the captain's pretty focused on his work, so nobody will notice you kind of do the Zoidberg shuffle off screen. Yeah. While you're doing your thing.
Perfect.
So, question. You've got to have at least one person on the Orson Welles. It doesn't have to be anybody in particular, but just noting that there's at least one person there to control the ship. All right. So here's what you get. The Orson Welles approaches the drop-off point and opens the cargo bay doors, and we'll say it's one of your shuttle pilots is preparing to kick it out the back. Yeah, okay. And then moves away as instructed. That's what Bellatrix would have done. Question for you. At this point, Bellatrix would leave, take the Orson Welles and move on to the next stop, or at least run, given what's happened. So what do you want your shuttle pilot aboard the ship to do?
I would say kind of do a button hook, fly out and just see if they can't meet us halfway.
Okay.
We'll try and say that this little area right here is a rendezvous point, and have them head toward the station, because they can at least dock in there while we piss off this bird of prey. They can join that crew That way, we're not risking our shields down.
All right. So yeah, Orson Welles heads off that way. As soon as the Orson Welles is a fair distance away. All right. I guess I gotta go here and do this. The D4 shows up in the vicinity of the cargo container. Now your probe is there, pretty much in that astrofield, right at the edge of it. So you can see from that vantage point that the D4 is beaming aboard the contents of the cargo container in a hurry. Doesn't want to expose himself to all that long.
Well,
Any reaction from you?
if I get no objection from the crew, I'm gonna move in real quick and zap them. Maybe launch
Ready.
some electronic warfare probes.
Okay. Let's see if I can find that one here. That's you. There. Let's find this one. Yeah, there we go. How many of those do you want to launch? You could launch 3 in a volley, assuming that you prepared for it.
I'd say go ahead and do 3. I'd say go ahead and do it. Just gives us a better chance.
Okay.
Standing by on phasers.
So those 3 come out, pop, and you send them in.
Oh yeah.
Okay, here we go. Quinn, why don't you roll? You're the one controlling those guys. So let's see what you should roll. Let's see.
And I do the whole dramatic engage. Shields up, red alert, engage.
Kill them all. Yeah. Control and con.
2 dice.
Add 2 dice, yeah. Then you can get assist from the computer from the ship if you need it. We'll see how that works out. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Let the ship help. Let's see if you can take it over the top.
What do you want on the ship?
So the ship, it's going to be actually communications. Let's see. Con. You got to talk to it. You got to navigate it. And just 1 die. And we'll see. Okay, so 3 total. So you launch them and they fly off at speed. Accelerating as they go. Spreading out a little bit. D4 sees them coming. Raises its shields. How were these configured? Just straight up jamming? Do you want decoys? What sort of electronic warfare were you going to throw at him?
I'd say a good bit of both. Blind, deaf, and dumb.
All right. Those arrive as the D4 is cloaking. It cloaks as it's turning to another heading. At this point, it perhaps got half of what was in that cargo container.
Did we get a good look at it? Was it damaged?
No, it's fresh. But the thing you're about to see is a little scrapped. All right. Let me find it. And this decloaks almost point blank off of the station and in the vicinity of the Carson.
Oh, I wish we'd prepared for that. Other shields are down, decloak and beam over security.
We had people on the station just for that.
But the station shields are up.
We can't beam over.
No, but they can shoot.
And to your surprise, Clock, you're being hailed by the D7.
Okay, that's different. Captain, there are Klingons off the starboard bow, and we're being hailed.
Okay. Put it on screen.
Let's see. I don't have a separate picture from him. I don't want to show you his character sheet. But Klingon captain, crew, he's grinning at you. Federation starship Carson. A scrappy little fighter. I am pondering whether you are worth my time.
Funny, I was thinking the same thing.
Defiant. I like that. He leans back. You can see through, he's on the main view screen. Yeah, this guy is House of Roth. Because you can see from behind him the emblems that are everywhere.
They sure do love their emblems.
They love their emblems. I have one question for you, Captain.
And I have one answer for you, Captain.
How did my son die?
I didn't get a chance to hear him scream. He died foolishly.
Perhaps. But he died in battle. It was a worthy death. For your part in it, I would give you a worthy death. Not like these. Duh. On this station and on the planet below. Shall we?
Let's. And I would immediately order the station open fire.
And Flock, to your amazement, he laughs. As the D7 takes the first hit from the stations, and he says, "Let the dance begin," and plays. I can find it. Dadgummit.
Little rumba music.
Captain, we're being bombarded by Klingon opera. What is our
Go ahead.
response?
Yeah, exactly.
We shall answer.
I tap him into the Starbucks station. It's probably playing Dancing Queen at this point.
And that's where we'll pause click it. With the D7 blaring out Klingon opera and all comms channels, the fight has begun.
I'll go respond. Playlist. Beastie Boys. Intergalactic.
So yeah, this is Big Bad. You've met the dad, the leader of the Renegades, and yeah, he wants a fight, a worthy fight. So we'll pick it up next time.
All right. Good show.
Very good.
Yep. Appreciate the game, as always.
Thank you much.
Yep.
Everybody, cookout on Monday for those that don't have anything else to do.
What time you want us?
Noonish. That's when I'll be doing this.
Any preferences on what y'all want me to make?
Something that you want to eat if you don't want what I'm cooking. So
I'm going to make some potato salad. I believe Kay is going to do a potato dish if you can.
Yeah, she's planning on that and some mac and cheese.
and the D&D movie is streaming for free actually now on Paramount Plus. So I was going to stream it.
Oh,
for those that haven't seen it.
That was a good one. You'll like it.
I have not seen it yet, so.
I sat up and slept through the endings.
I can
All
name that
I
too.
saw the bit where they have the cameo of the squad from the original D&D cartoon.
I think there's a heck of a lot of Easter eggs in that movie. I doubt I caught all of them.
There almost has to be actually. So yeah, looking forward to it. We'll see what we can catch.
So next
All
week
right.
we may have Logan's game.
Possibly. See how he's prepared. He's got some time this week. But if not, I'll let everybody know by midweek or so. What do you think?
Okay.
All right, so that means I really probably ought to get working on my character.
Little details.
I don't even know what I'm going to play yet, so.
I always like to surprise myself.
I've been
And,
playing D&D since I was 17, and I've never played a paladin, so we're going to see how this works out. In Ravenloft.
So open the betting pool. Who's the first to die?
Probably me.
I'm going to guess the paladin. I can't imagine they're popular in Ravenloft.
I'm a dragonborn barbarian.
I'm feeling positively safe, and I'm a first level wizard.
Just because a dragon sat on you once doesn't make you dragonborn.
No, that dragonborn is when you ride the dragon.
Yeah.
You know, it's carrying you. Yeah.
Oh, I misspelled born. Sorry.
Oh my God, it's Jason Bourne.
Jason, can I set you down now?
Not if we're still in
Sorry.
Ravenloft.
No,
So we have Matt Damon riding a.
this is flyover country.
Yeah.
The problem with the way the mists work is you just keep flying over the same country. Just
It never ends.
yep. We lost our animation budget somewhere around Albuquerque.
Yep.
Good show, guys.
Y'all have a good
All
evening.
right.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. Take
Be
care.
well.